to build a cryptocurrency that's truly useful and truly used. In order to do so, we will sequentially build three key components. The first is addressing the problem of price volatility. I think we can all agree here today that volatility is a key inhibitor to adoption, and building a decentralized stablecoin that will power our payment network is our first component. The second is understanding that usefulness doesn't equate to being used. There's a lot of useful concepts and white papers today that no one ever uses on an everyday basis. And as a result, in order to drive that true wide adoption, we're going to build an alliance of commerce companies that will push Terra into the hands of millions and millions of people. And once we solve the stability, and once we solve this adoption, it's time for us to open up our Terra platform, on top of which boundless financial innovation can take place. Let's delve into each one by one. The first component being the stable coin and our payment network. I think Rand's here today, somewhere. You can read our tweet for us. But again, I think, look, like if you get into a cab thinking the ride's gonna be $20, and then you get to your destination and the cab driver says it's $40, everyone will get pissed. And that's really what paying for things with cryptocurrencies is like today. The extreme price volatility is inhibiting cryptocurrencies from being a medium of exchange. So via Terra surveyed the stablecoin products that are out of the market today, and there's so many of them. People are calling 2018 the year of stablecoins. And we decided that we can either bucket them into one of two categories. They're either susceptible to regulation or they're susceptible to speculation. Take Tether, for example, the most widely used stablecoin today. Every time you issue a new Tether, you need to hold a new fiat in your bank account. So that's okay when the scale is limited. But when Tether grows to 10 billion, 100 billion, $1 trillion, it's susceptible to regulation. The banks could get seized. There's a significant custodian risk of regular people holding on to $1 trillion of customer money. On the other side of the spectrum is a project like MakerDAO. It's a crypto collateralized stablecoin where anytime you issue DAI, you need to stake in Ethereum. The problem here is very, very logical. Ethereum itself is extremely volatile. So when crashes in collateral prices happen, it margin calls the entire economy. So what we said is we need to build a decentralized and fully collateralized stablecoin, and that's what we're doing with Terra. The fundamental premise of Terra's stability design is very, very simple. Central banks use this all the time. We algorithmically adjust money supply. When there's more demand for Terra, we issue more Terra so that the price can come back down. And when demand for Terra decreases, we use our stability reserve to buy back Terra and burn it. However, the natural question is how do we maintain a decentralized stability reserve at any given time? And we took inspiration for design from large payment networks, large traditional payment networks like Visa and MasterCard. If you pull up Visa and MasterCard's stock graph on your phone for the past 10 years, it's a beautiful linear graph. There's very little bumps, very little zigs and zags. And the reason behind that is very, very simple. When a merchant accepts Visa and MasterCard as a form of payment, they rarely get rid of it. There's very, very little churn. And people use Visa and MasterCard to buy daily essentials like food, groceries, clothing. And as a result of that, it's a lot less volatile compared to the overall market conditions. So taking inspiration from this, we built a two-token structure where Terra, the stablecoin, anytime it trades hands, pays a microtransaction fee to Luna. And as Terra's payment network grows in size, the cash flow that is being paid from transaction fees accrues in Luna. And as a result, Luna starts to look more and more like a decentralized Visa. But to make Luna even more stable, we're able to calibrate the transaction fee percentage that we tax on Terra's transactions so that when the value of Luna is lower, we higher the transaction fees so that the cash flows coming into Luna network is subsequently raised and the value of overall Luna's network is more valuable. So once we build this decentralized stablecoin, this will power Terra Pay. And Terra Pay will integrate with numerous commerce companies across the world so that Terra can be used to exchange it for goods and clothing and groceries that you use on your everyday purchases. And it's going to be seamless. It's not going to be going on exchanges, buying Bitcoin and taking it onto Amazon and trying to transact it. It's going to be just going to an e-commerce company that you already go to on an everyday basis, and at checkout, with a couple clicks, you'll be able to purchase the item that you want to purchase. But I think a key question we need to ask here is why would anyone ever use Terra Pay? We have Alipay, we have WeChat Pay, we have PayPal, we have Venmo. There's so many payment methods in this world. And the answer goes back to our stability design. Recall that when there's greater demand for Terra, in order to stabilize the price, the protocol prints new money. And the new money that's printed, the key question is what do we do with that new money supply? When a new commerce platform integrates with Terra, then there's naturally additional transactions and new demand for Terra coming in. So in order to bring the price of Terra back down, the protocol needs to print new Terra. So what do we do with that? And the answer is the protocol will then reinvest and redistribute that new money supply back to the very commerce platforms and their consumers that help drive the demand in the first place in the form of discounts and kickbacks. So again, you'll be able to go to the very commerce platforms that you use on an everyday basis and buy the very item that you wanted to buy anyways, but you'll be able to buy it at 10% off. So if you go to Amazon and you pick an item that you wanted to buy and Terra Pay powers a 10% discount for you, why would you ever not choose it? So just to drive this point home even further, again, a new commerce platform integrates with Terra that drives new demand. And new demand, due to Terra's protocol, will lead to additional supply of Terra. That supply will drive discounts and kickbacks for customers, and as a result of these discounts and kickbacks, the penetration on these commerce sites for Terra Pay will go up, which in turn will drive new demand. So in essence, this discount model serves as an ongoing stimulus for Terra's economy. Growth drives growth. But I'm sure you're all asking the question, okay, maybe I get the design, maybe I get the discount model, but this all hinges, it only works when there's a ton of transaction volume. And we agree. And as a result, the next section talks about building a formidable alliance of large commerce partners that can support that. Let's take a look back into history. There's been two very large payment networks that have been born in the past couple decades. One in the US called PayPal, and another in China called Alipay. And the common thread between these two transaction networks is that they were both piggybacking on very large marketplaces. PayPal on top of eBay, and Taobao and Alipay on top of Taobao. So you could argue that without eBay there was no PayPal, and without Taobao there was no Alipay. Terra needs to piggyback on a similar e-commerce alliance. And we feel like Terra's team has an unparalleled access to be able to do so. I, for one, am a co-founder of Terra, but 8 years ago I founded Timon, one of the largest e-commerce companies in Korea. And I'm still the chairman of this company. Timon today does about $3.5 billion in transactions annually. And 20% of Koreans use Timon for everyday purchases. But I think we recognize that Timon itself is not enough. So we built a Genesis alliance of e-commerce partners that will help distribute and push Terra to millions of people once we launch Terra. So it includes Paymin, which is the largest food delivery platform in Korea. It includes Carousel, which is the largest C2C platform in Southeast Asia. It includes Tiki, which is the second largest e-commerce company in Vietnam. And it includes vertical commerce players like Time Mecca and Alipay. So I think collectively, if you're from Asia, the chances are that you've used one of these platforms and the alliance will grow and grow over time. Our goal is by 2022 to amass a size of our alliance that does collectively $150 billion in transaction volume. And we